Jean Charest, first of all, thanks for taking time to speak with me. I do appreciate it. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Look, this is the so-called persuasion phase of the leadership contest. So tell me what you're doing now to try and build your support.
We're reaching out to the members to talk about the issues and what will decide this campaign. And one of the key issues, Peter, is going to be who can win an election campaign and who can form a national government. That is going to be one of the key issues. Conservatives are tired of losing against Mr. Trudeau. This is 3 consecutive losses. I think that's enough. And there is a boulevard, literally millions of political orphans out there in the country who want a national alternative to the Liberal government, who didn't win the last campaign. The Conservatives lost that campaign, Peter, to Justin Trudeau. And so enough. Now we need a leader who's able to win and to form a national conservative government with a national conservative agenda, unite the country, which I will do. And that'll be the issue for our membership when they vote for an outcome that we'll see on the 10th of September.
How challenging is it trying to reach those members, given that the party's not releasing those preliminary lists? I think you and others have called for that. The Poilievre camp objects to releasing partial lists. So do you want the party to release those lists, and how does it complicate the outreach process?
Well, there's a few things in your question there I want to address. First of all, it is a challenge. Yes, it is. I mean, we want to reach the highest number of people. And by the way, it's something it's a concept called democracy, about actually reaching people, A, B, telling them what we stand for and what policies we have. And I've run a very policy-oriented campaign. And to do that, we need to know who they are and get the list. But you're asking an interesting question. Why is it that Mr. Poilievre doesn't want us to have access to the list of members? And why is it that Mr. Poilievre won't debate us and refuses to do any further debates? You'd think that in a democracy that these are pretty fundamental things. There's no reason to refuse to have a debate and face the membership and tell them where you stand. I mean, it's unacceptable. Right. I think the members are going to ask themselves, why is it that Mr. Poilievre doesn't want the other camps to have access to the list of members?
Well, some of the members might be asking as well. Mr. Poilievre says he's sold 312,000 memberships. You won't say how many you sold. Okay. So I'm sure some of the members are saying, why won't Jean Charest give us his numbers?
Because it's a point decision. It's not about the number of members. And by the way, the front runners in all the races have lost previous races. And why have they lost? Because they top out on the first ballot and they're no one's second choice. And that'll certainly be the scenario for Mr. Poilievre. And then the second strongest candidate eventually wins. That's exactly what happened with Aaron O'Toole over Mr. McKay and Mr. Scheer over Mr. Bernier. And so this is the scenario we're looking at now. Now, why is that the case? Because it's 100 points per riding, Peter. You would have right. 10,000 members in a single riding, it's 100 points, and 100 members in another riding, it's 100 points. And that's the reason why we are focusing on that. We have a very efficient campaign and support in every part of the country, which is important for me, because I want to lead a national party. I don't want to lead a party with one part of the country only. And we have a strong base in the West. We're going to work from that base, but expand it out to win a national government.
A lot's being made of how Mr. Poilievre has sold memberships, accusations from some of the camps that he misled members from other supporters to get them to take out memberships on his portal. Are you one of the candidates suggesting Mr. Poilievre is engaging in dirty tricks here in this campaign?
I'm not focused on that right now. We want the interim list as fast as possible. And again, why would anyone not want every camp to have that? Again, it's just called democracy. We don't live in a system where we deprive people of the list, frankly. But also, I'm focused on persuading people. I want to lead a political party that I can unite. I want conservatives to be proud of what they represent. I want a national conservative government in a country that is going to be proud to have a national conservative agenda.
Let's follow up on that a bit. A new poll out this week by Léger suggests that progressive voters would prefer you or Patrick Brown over Mr. Poilievre, but that Pierre Poilievre is far and away the top choice for conservatives. I'm not sure that's a big surprise to people at this point, but how do you read those numbers, and what do you think and how do you think members of the party should read those numbers?
And I'm always very cautious about polls, I can tell you from experience, Peter. That being said, it does point to the key issue that will be facing members when they mark their ballot. Are we tired of losing? Is it enough losing in 15, 19, 21? Do we want to continue losing? Do we want to win a leadership race or win a national election campaign? I want to win the leadership race to win a national election campaign and beat Justin Trudeau. That's what the issue is here. We need to defeat the Trudeau government. I will. What that poll seems to tell you is that Canadians agree that I'm the person who can do that, and I'm the person that they will vote for, Canadians at large, to defeat Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, okay. Notwithstanding questions around polls, I mean, let's say you win. How do you lead a Conservative Party where 44% of the people surveyed said they wanted the other guy as the leader?
Well, we've had leadership races in the past. It's all about focusing on the future. And I've led caucuses federally. I've led caucus in Quebec of a coalition of federalists, and I've done it successfully. And I know what it takes to be able to get a caucus to work together. But it has to be very much focused on the future, not the past. Every member of the team is important. I'm going to be very respectful. Those who have worked with me, Peter, I've been pretty, I think, clear on their experience and from all sides. So I'll continue to be the person I am. And I think the level of happiness in our caucus will be relatively high because they'll have a leader that respects them and works with them.
Okay. Let's talk about what the party looks like. Brian Mulroney, a former prime minister, being celebrated this week at an event at Laval University, said to reporters he doesn't much see himself and the things he stood for in today's Conservative Party of Canada, and seemed to endorse you at the same time. And I'm wondering what you make of his comments. And, you know, it's in the context of why is Jean Charest running for this job? Because a lot of people would say, look at the Conservative Party today, and does Jean Charest see himself in this party?
And a very good question. The political parties are living institutions, and they evolve through time. And every leader marks the party, by the way. Now, the party has basic values that we work with, that we all have in common. We're like-minded people who believe in basic values. And what are those values for me that I've always abided by, no matter where I was? Fiscal conservatism, market-based economy, Peter. Economic policies that promote economic growth, which includes resources, oil, gas, pipelines, and mining. Families, plural, as a cornerstone of our society. The respect of the rule of law is a cornerstone conservative value I believe in. And I also, I believe you have to respect the law and not encourage people who break the law like blockades. And finally, Canadian Conservatives have a view of federalism that works in this country, that allows people from the West to work with people in the East and get big things done. Those are the basic values I believe in that I'm bringing to this race, and I'll bring to the party and to the country.
Would you run for a party as a candidate for a party led by Mr. Poilievre? And I ask it in the Go ahead.
Well, you asked the question. I'm totally focused on winning the election here and the leadership race. Totally. It's the only scenario I have in my mind, Pete. The only one I have in my mind.
Right. So if you don't win, are you done with if you don't win, are you done with the Federal Conservative Party?
Well, Peter, I'm in the mix. This is it's like asking a boxer in the middle of the boxing match whether he's going to lose or not. Of course, I'm going to win. And I'm totally focused on that, and it's the only thing I'm going to. No, but it does speak
to whether Jean Charest is engaged for the long term in helping to shape the future of the Conservative Party, even if you don't win. But you're saying if you don't, are you saying if you don't win, I'm out?
I don't know how more engaged I can be than what I'm actually doing right now.
Well, beyond the race. Beyond the race and the outcome. Jean Charest is he a conservative Conservatives can count on, or is Jean Charest off to something else again?
Peter, I have been a conservative all my life, for all my life, and I practiced conservative policies, philosophies, and principles all my life. My record speaks to that, and very clearly speaks to that. So I'm going to win this race. I'm going to form a national government with a conservative government and beat Justin Trudeau in the election campaign. All
right, Jean Charest, thanks for your time. Always good to talk to you. Good to see you again. And as I say to all the candidates,
Thank you.
Good luck.